Just before we came on the air tonight, we got a little bit of news that could potentially have broad implications into the ongoing Russia scandal. The New York Times is reporting tonight that Attorney General Bill Barr has assigned the top federal prosecutor in Connecticut, U.S. Attorney John Durham, to examine the origins of the Russia investigation. Which is, of course, the kind of thing that President Trump has long been calling for. This new inquiry, again reported tonight for the first time by the New York Times, means that while we still have no idea what happened to the counterintelligence investigation into possible ties between the Trump campaign and Russia, since none of that counterintelligence investigation ended up in the Mueller report, since we have no idea while we have no idea what happened to that counterintelligence investigation in the first place, we now know of 3 investigations into the fact that that investigation was started in the first place. So we don't know what happened to the investigation itself, but its existence is now being examined in at least 3 different ways. John Durham, the U.S. attorney charged with leading this investigation, is also the man who happens to be investigating James Baker, who was our guest Friday night here on this show, for supposed unauthorized disclosures to the media. But this new development, again, reported tonight by the New York Times, is what the president's been asking for. The president and increasingly Republicans in Congress have been calling for investigations into the people, the law enforcement officials and intelligence officials who started the investigations into what Russia did. And now we're seeing this bit by bit being parceled out just like you wanted it. That does it for us tonight. We will see you again tomorrow. Now it's time for the last word with Lawrence O'Donnell. Good evening, Lawrence.
Good evening, Rachel. And I was handed that story about, 35 minutes ago when it broke. And of course, I'm watching you on TV knowing that you don't know this story has just broken. And the way I read these things now is I'm holding my hands and I'm thinking, gee, Rachel really deserves another half an hour. I should just let her take a half an hour of this real estate just to react to that story. Since you were leading, I mean, they're basically referring to what James Baker told you Friday night in that New York Times article. And so this is really moving now. I mean,
and remember, we've got the Judiciary Committee in the Senate led by Lindsey Graham, who now says what he's going to investigate is the start of the Russia investigation and maybe Hillary Clinton's emails. We've got Jeff Sessions having already appointed a U.S. attorney named Huber in Utah to look at the origins of the Russia investigation. We've got the Inspector General at the Justice Department looking at the origins of that investigation. And now Attorney General Barr, fresh off of pounding his chest in Congress and saying we need to stop using the Justice Department for political purposes. Now, he, too, has appointed somebody else, yet another U.S. attorney, to look into the origins of that investigation. Meanwhile, we have no idea what the results were of that investigation. We'd have no idea what the findings were of the counterintelligence investigation into Russia and its potential links with the Trump campaign. None of that ended up in Mueller's report. But this whole idea that the president's going to demand investigations of the investigators, demand investigations of his political enemies, it's, not the dystopic future anymore. We're living through it.
And we got lucky in our booking tonight because we have Mimi Rocah ready to start off our discussion anyway. But she knows all of these players. And we were just talking about this newest investigator, this new U.S. attorney who's coming into the picture and his past records and how meticulous he is. And he's not quick. That's one of the points Mimi's going to make. And he was one of the people who led the investigation of the FBI misbehavior and crimes in Boston in the Whitey Bulger case. And so he's been through this kind of thing before.
He was also the guy who looked at whether or not George W. Bush administration officials should potentially be prosecuted for the torture scandal of the Bush administration. And that took a very long time and was very controversial when it came out early in Obama's tenure. So he's been through the wars in terms of being right in the middle of very provocative, very controversial stuff. But his appointment itself, to me, is the huge news here, regardless of what he eventually does with his appointment.
So, Rachel, before you go, on Memorial Day, when you're in the canoe, you know where I will be. But you don't know where
Not in the canoe?
I won't be in the canoe on Memorial Day. I'm going to have to leave the canoe early on Memorial Day.
Why?
To go to Spartanburg, South Carolina, where the very next day I will be hosting at 10 p.m. right here on MSNBC, a live town hall with presidential candidate Kamala Harris.
Yay! way. That's going to be amazing.
In the heart. That's Trump country. That is the Trump section of South Carolina. It's going to be a really interesting world and environment in which to be doing that. And so that's my
So that's the day after Memorial Day, the Tuesday of that week.
It says here, Tuesday, May 28th.
I might just take my canoe down there.
You know, the tickets are going to be available. We're going to tell people how to get tickets, but I got one right here for you, Rachel. It's a handwritten ticket I just filled out.
I will paddle my way there.
Okay.
Thank you, Lance. Congratulations on that.
Thanks.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.